I'll pause. I'm gonna mute us. Możliwości.
I'm good. I got a shirt. She looks like she was pelted. All right.
Okay. You're late, girl.
Got it. All right, okay, we ready? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning and Zoning regular meeting today, February 3rd. It's currently 7:02 in the evening, and welcome everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and because we have some of our commission online, I am going to ask that Steve Biella Jr. be seated, and also Peter Zaragoza. They are both alternates, but I do need 2 vacancies filled this evening. Okay, and I recognize that Brian Rogan, our secretary for the commission, is also online. Alrighty, the first order of business will actually be just a little housekeeping. We have to do an election of officers. This is something that we have to do by town charter, the first meeting of February. So with that, I would ask, are there any nominations for chair for the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Commissioner Rogan, I'll nominate Joan Veal for chair.
Okay. All right, we have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other nominations from the floor or online? Hearing none, I'll ask our secretary, Brian Rogan, to cast 1 vote for
I'll cast 1 vote.
Okay, for the chair. All right, for vice chair, we have a nomination for vice chair for the commission.
Commissioner Rogan, I'll nominate Diane Jorsey for vice chair.
Okay. Any other, do we have a second for the nomination? I'll second. Okay, thank you, Sandy. Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, can I ask the secretary to cast 1 vote?
I'll cast that vote.
Okay, for Diane Jorsey for vice chair. All right, and then for the secretary, do we have a nomination for secretary for the commission?
I'll nominate Brian Rogan for secretary.
Okay, do we have a second for the nomination? Okay, second by Tim Zigma. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask the vice chair to cast the vote for the secretary. Because I don't think he can vote for himself.
No, I agree with that. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, thank you all for your continued support, and on to the agenda we go.
Should
Yes.
I take the roll for the meeting in general?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, John Michael O'Brien, I believe asked to be excused.
You know what, he's absent.
Okay, Diane Joycey,
Here.
Timothy Zigma.
Yeah.
Brian Rogan,
Here,
Sandra Capola,
Yes.
Chairman Veely,
Here.
Peter Zaragoza, alternate.
Here.
Andrew Langnini, alternate. Thought he was on. No?
No.
Okay. And Steve Biella Jr., alternate.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay.
There and stated. Excellent. I have to read this into the record as well. Good evening. I am the chairperson for the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Joan Veely, and this meeting may be attended in person or by a remote video or telephone conference. Zoom conference access information was provided for the commission members, applications, and other interested persons to participate, noticed on the legal ad on the agenda posted on the town website. For those who are attending, I would ask that you mute yourselves if you're not able to do so, if you're able to do so that we will not have any background noise. 2 very important things to remember. First, every time you speak, you must state your name and title for the record. Second, we have to be careful not to talk over each other so that anyone who's listening can hear what's being said, and we also have a clear record. For this reason, it's necessary when it comes time for the commission members to comment and ask questions particular agenda item before any action is taken, and then to vote on that agenda item, our planner, Maureen Giusti, will call the roll as needed. Also, the regular meeting is being recorded. The recording will be posted on the town website. Now, Maureen has done the attendance, and so now I think everything is in order. We're caught up, and so here we go. The first item is going to be the review of the minutes for January 20th. Has the commission had a chance to review the minutes? If so, do you have any corrections, adjustments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 20th.
Okay, Ms. Jorsey has a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Ms. Capola. Do we have any other comments? So all those in favor? Aye. Those online, Brian, Peter?
Aye.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Scheduling public hearings. First, we have the zone change application of 337 Berlin LLC to change the zone of 337 Berlin Turnpike map 4-4, block 127, lot 24-7399 from BT2 to BT1, 446 Deming Road, map 4-4, block 127, lot 1 from BT2 to BT1, and 51 Worthington Ridge, map 10-2, block 127, lot 23 from PI to BT1. And this is going up for a public hearing, but I know that Maureen, we had talked about our schedule and that we want to make sure that we have time to address and hear out all the different applications that we have. So I believe that we were actually looking at opening this public hearing sometime in April. Perhaps the 7th or the 21st would be our meeting dates.
Hello.
I think you have to open by the 7th. Both of those have to be open by the 9th.
Okay, all righty. So Tim, would your motion be for the 7th? Okay.
And I go,
Thank you.
wait. Let me put, hold it. I have to put this on mute. Hold it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. All right, so all those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, commissioners online?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And Steve Biella? Steve Biella, your vote, please,
Mute first.
for the 7th of April.
Yes, aye. Sorry, my Bluetooth was connected
Okay.
and it messed up. Sorry.
All righty, okay. Just for the commissioners online, I just need you to stay with us, you know, and so we can keep this rolling. Okay, so that'll be for the 7th of April. The second item scheduled for public hearings, item B, is a special permit site plan application of Shadow Meadow Development LLC for multifamily development at 309 Main Street, East Berlin. And I believe you also have the suggested date of the 7th of April as well.
So move to April 7th.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. Thank you, Mr. Zigma. Thank you, Ms. Jorsey, for the discussion. Then all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, Steve and Peter, we were okay with that?
Aye.
All right,
Yep.
thank you. All right, great, guys. All right, proposed amendment to zoning regulations for Sandra Roche Kids LLC to amend 9B5B8 for a text amendment for the zoning regulation. And I believe the proposed date is March 17th on this.
So move to March 7th.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zigma, to add. Okay, Ms. Jorsey, thank you. Further discussion, then all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, guys. Those
Aye.
opposed? All right, so moved. All right, clobber them. On to new business. Site plan amendment application of Christoph Pick to manufacture products including but not limited to the precision machinery and deburring of aerospace machine and structure components at 758 Four Rod Road. Do we have anyone here for
I believe we do.
Mr. Pick?
Yes.
Or online, they're
Oh,
online.
you're online. Okay, there you are.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Chris. This is my wife, Agnes.
Yes,
Hello.
welcome. All righty, can you tell us a little bit about your business here? You have a site plan amendment. Do we have, what exactly are we looking to do?
So basically the PYC manufacturing started in 2005 and it originated at 500 Forward Road. And then throughout the years, we've been expanding, and this past year, like middle of the year, we've noticed that we wouldn't be able to expand anymore up until unless we buy other property. And Chris was planning on buying the building, which which would meet our needs, and he found one in Berlin. So that's 758, and then he decided to buy this property for a further expansion.
Okay.
Can I give a little background
Yeah,
on the property?
please.
Okay, so 758 Forod Road is a manufacturing building. It was built as a manufacturing building. A few years ago, the commission approved a special permit use for live indoor auctions on this property. This is the property that sits at the corner of Forod Road and Norton Lane and Martin Road, sorry. I overthought it. The property has now been divided so that the corner lot, the vacant land that sits at the corner, got a free split to be a separate parcel. So that's an undeveloped parcel. The manufacturing site remains conforming with zoning as far as most of its dimensions, etc. That could be changed, where they made the lot line revision conforms with the zoning. I think their rear line might be short, setback rather. But this use is a change of use because you had approved the special permit use for the live auctions. So to go back to manufacturing, they needed to come back to change that from the special permit use. I would suggest the commission confirm that the special permit use will be abandoned with the their manufacturing use securing occupancy, and that if that's the case, if it's taking part of the building, then they should let you know that as well. And there is no site changes to the property proposed. As far as I know, they may be able to adjust something that we're unaware of.
Okay. All right, terrific, thank you. And commission, do we have any questions for the applicant at this time?
So you said there's just a lot line change?
The lot line change happened already because that is not under the purview of the Planning and Zoning Commission because of, it's not a subdivision.
But
It was the first split.
that change has been filed, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Do we have a lot of, I know with the auction, they basically ran like once a month or something there. But obviously this is converting over to a daily operation. So are we looking at a lot of truck traffic, or do you have a lot of deliveries that come in with your business? I mean, I'm not. It sounds
When it
very
comes-
exciting,
when it-
aerospace.
When it comes to deliveries, we run daily deliveries, but maybe it's twice a day. And with regular trucks like a van, so that wouldn't cause any disruption as far as surroundings.
Okay. Are they large trucks? Are they
No, like
big
a van, like
vans?
a regular vans.
Or they're more like vans?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Terrific.
Maybe on occasion bigger truck, but it's once in maybe once every 2 or 3 months for the most part.
Okay. And then, of course, as far as your hours of operation, they're pretty standard then, Monday through Friday, possibly a Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
For now, we open from 7 till 5, Monday through Friday, some Saturdays, but most of the time Monday, Friday.
Okay. All right, terrific. Any other questions?
About how many employees do you currently employ or plan on employing?
We have 1 employee currently, and then we're looking to hire more staff. As of now, we transitioned from the 500 to 758. We moved most of the machines already. So we are probably looking to hire at least 4 to 5 people.
Okay. All righty. Any questions from the commission online? I have Stephen, Brian, and Peter.
I have no questions.
Okay, Brian, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess the only question I would have would be the housekeeping that Maureen asked for in regard to the use of doing auctions there. Will that be given up or continued?
All right, that would be apparently, we're requesting that it be abandoned. That use, that special permit would go away with our approval.
I know the applicants are nodding yes. I think I just want to hear them say yes for the record.
Okay, well, Commissioner Capola is asking you to acknowledge that you verbally acknowledge that you accept that the auction special permit would be abandoned if we're to give you your approval.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, all right.
So,
Yes.
so for the record, what the zoning office will do is file a notice on the land records that they are abandoning that special permit that would have been filed on the land records. So we filed a notice that this approval supersedes it.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, are you proposing any changes to the building itself? Structurally, doors or anything?
No changes to the building as of now, no. The space is pretty much made for manufacturing space, which will go around and very smoothly as far as transitions. And then we wouldn't do any changes at all.
Okay.
Okay, I just also would like to know about parking somehow. Fire down parking, and will it be striped and on that?
So the property is improved with parking, landscaping, et cetera, as shown. They can, I believe you should ask the applicants whether or not they plan any further improvements.
Yes, we're asking if there's going to be any improvements outside the parking lot, stripe, the parking lot, landscaping, whatever.
Not at this time, no.
And it is conforming as far as we're aware. It's conforming with the regulations for what's there and what was
Okay, terrific.
designed.
Anything else, Commission? Then what would you like to do?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan amendment on the condition that the abandonment of the special use be recorded. I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. All right, so Ms. Jersey made the motion, Ms. Capola seconded. Further discussion? Do you want to do a roll call for the vote on that then?
Diane Joycey,
Aye.
Timothy Zigmont,
Aye.
Brian Rogan,
Aye.
Sandra Capola,
Aye.
Chairman Bailey,
Aye.
Peter Zarabozo,
Aye.
and Steve Biella Jr.
Aye.
All right, terrific. So the motion passes. All righty, on to the modification. Congratulations, guys. I should
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Thanks for showing up. Okay. Next up is the modification to an improved plan, Mark Lovely, member, Newport 903-9134 Farmington Avenue LLC, 913 Farmington Avenue, which is also known as 10 Steel Boulevard, but I believe this.
We got an email from the applicant this afternoon that they would like you to table us for tonight's meeting.
Okay,
Quote.
so it's just going to be tabled. And will this be going on to the March meeting or?
It may be to the next meeting. We'll see how they progress. They're working with the architects right now on perhaps some modifications to come up with before they come to the commission.
Okay. Terrific.
Motion to table them for the when they come back.
Yeah, exactly. All right, motion by Mr. Zigmont. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Jorsey. Further discussion on that item? And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah, I see them piping in now. Okay, good. All righty. Moving on, we have the modification to approved plan AIM Partners LLC for modifications to the new building and modifications to required parking at MBL 9-4-91-1 Lower Lane at Farmington Avenue. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer and principal of the firm house, Pearson and Cassidy. First question I would ask is, I noticed you got a new video system, so if I set up an easel, where do you want it? So everybody can see it.
Where do we put these?
Usually it's right there. It'll barely be in the screen, but I can bring what you emailed me up on the screen, see if that works. Might be able to put it there, but I don't think the commission members would be able to see it behind you.
All right.
If I may ask, can one of the commission members confirm that you have my plan, the plan I'm sharing on your screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. And then you tell me whether you want me to share it or you want to use yours. Just one? This one. Uh-uh. Yeah, really.
Good evening again. For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer and principal of the firm house, Pearson and Cassidy. I'm here tonight representing AIM Partners LLC, Steve DeFrancisco and Marcus Bacon, both members of AIM's who are with me here this evening. We're here tonight to seek a modification to a site plan that you previously approved for a property that they own at the corner of Lower Lane and Farmington Avenue. It's located basically at the northwesterly corner of the intersection of Lower Lane and Farmington Avenue. On the plans that are up on the screen or in the package, Lower Lane would be to the bottom of the sheet. Farmington Avenue is on the right-hand side of the page. And then towards the center left, Willard Avenue actually comes in, and it kind of makes a 90 back to Lower Lane. In 2019, we received site plan approval to actually develop two buildings on this site. The first building was 3,270 square feet on the northerly or upper portion of the screen or the site. That proposed building was to be a medical office building. In addition to that, I'll call it the L-shaped building down towards the bottom of the screen, up along Lower Lane and Farmington Avenue, was also approved. That building had a footprint of 3,230 square feet. It was originally proposed as retail office space, in that we did not have a prospective tenant at that point. Since such time, the first building, the 3,270 square foot building, has been constructed. It is now owned to Focus Physical Therapy, who's also owned by Marcus Bacon and Steve DeFrancisco. And they've been successfully operating their physical therapy business out of it for the past over a year at this point. In the meantime, they've been seeking out prospective tenants for the additional building. And at this point, they have identified a tenant. Matulis Family Dentistry is looking for a bigger location. And they're proposing to take or build a building, and they're going to occupy that building. As they went through the final footprints and program that they needed for the building, what's happened is building footprint has slightly increased. Originally, it was approved for 3,230 square feet. The final footprint is 3,400 square feet, so there's an increase of about 170 square feet. There's also the change of use. It was originally approved for retail and regular office. Now it's medical office. So two parts to this application or this modification. Number one, we'd like to inform you that we are looking at modifying the footprint of the building slightly. On the plan that I have, which I don't know if you've seen on the screen, but basically I've done is the red line represents the location of the original approved building compared to the brown area is the actual revised building. So it's very similar in location and shape, just a slightly different configuration, slightly bigger. The parking lot would remain the same. It originally was approved with 40 parking spaces. We finished the northerly half, or the portion of the parking lot that's up against Focus Physical Therapy. Now at this point, we're looking at completing that southerly half. The issue becomes parking spaces. When the original approved building as retail and as regular office, the requirement is that we had one space per every 250 square feet. When we go to medical office, the requirement goes up to one space per every 150 square feet. So it increases the required parking for the new building up to about 22.7 required for a total of about 45. We presently have, where we will, after we finish this development, we'll have 40 parking spaces. So we're going to be 5 parking spaces short per the current zoning regulations. In your zoning regulations under section 10, section B, sub letter D, you have a section which allows the commission to basically relieve or waive up to 27% of the parking if it's different uses on the property. And taking a look at the proposed uses, although they seem the same, both being medical professions, the overall operations are significantly different. Focus physical therapy, basically hours of operations actually start at 5 a.m. and go to 7 p.m. And what you find with Focus is you tend to have a higher client load morning and late afternoon. Whereas the dental office hours of operations are typically 8 to 5. And they have a continuous client base that comes out through the day. And Focus is typically a lower client need at that point in time. So for your regulations, again, I think you're allowed to waive up to 20% of the required parking spaces. If we ask for the waiver of 5 parking spaces, that works up to 11%. So we meet that requirement. We've talked to both Focus and we've talked to the dental office, and both are more than comfortable with a total of 40 parking spaces on this overall site. So again, as part of this modification, what we're requesting is the reduction of 5 parking spaces for the overall development and the opportunity to finish this corner and finish this over this full site. There were building plans submitted as part of the application. It's very similar to the original building that was proposed. It's a one-story structure. There is a tower element. It should be towards the last page.
Yeah, don't look at the screen while I do this. Oh, I had it. Is it in a different package? Out to the end.
So the building is very similar to what's originally proposed. It's actually very similar to what's actually constructed out. There is a tower element. So this tower element faces towards the park lot. It'll be very similar with materials, just a different color scheme. If you could look at the Focus building, it has a lower stone veneer and then clapboard siding on the upper portion, nice white framed windows throughout the entire structure. As a hip roof with architectural shingles. So it's going to be basically the sister to that building. It's a different configuration, but similar design, similar materials, just a slightly different color scheme to separate the 2 buildings. So that's the only really change to the building, other than the square footage is going up also. So we hope the commission agrees with us. This is considered a modification. We feel it's a good use for the property, and sort of one-time coming, trying to find a prospective tenant. So with that, conclude, and I'll gladly answer any questions you may have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Commission, do we have any questions this time? Staff, let's go to you for your comments.
So, I just wanted to point out, and I'm sorry that the architecturals don't seem to be loaded in there. And you have an architectural page, so I'm thinking maybe we can prop it here for a minute to show so that the rest of the commission can see it. The comments when the project was first approved. Well, first off, let me say this got added to the agenda because they did get through wetlands in a single meeting because of the floodplain, as opposed to it being a traditional wetlands application.
And I might do this for tax purposes anyway. So you're saying.
Thank you.
It got added as a
Yeah.
modification, because they did only have to go to the wetlands, and were approved on Tuesday night, for the flood, area. The original approval for the project for the two buildings, one of the comments that was made was that the Cordon building should have a predominant front facade that faces outward to the intersection of Farmington Avenue and Lower Lane, and have an opportunity for a significant entrance, would you say, a statement entrance to contribute to the streetscape. So I wanted to remind the commission of that. And that it corrects the phrasing of, I believe you're allowed to reduce parking by 20%. I think it was said as 27%. So just, and this meets that or fits within that, but for the record. And I think that was about it as far as my concerns with the changes. They have done modifications and changes to the stormwater management that comply with what was needed to be done in order to meet the application that they made for the whole proposal. So this is really an architectural change, as well as the commission needing to vote on reducing the parking requirement, which is allowed to be done for section 9B of the regulations.
But our planner does make an interesting observation, and that's one I was going to follow through with you, is that because this is a building that's being proposed for that corner, so the back of the building, is it going to be the front of the building, or is it going to be the back of the building that looks like the front of the building?
So this is a side that would face towards the parking lot. The main entrance is located here towards the parking lot,
Okay,
mainly because of handicap accessibility. We had to rework ramps and parking spaces. This is the side that would face out towards Farmington Avenue, so we do have that tower element. Sorry.
okay. Okay,
I'm gonna stop sharing. So
We don't
that-
have a front entrance right on Farmington Avenue, but we do have that tower element, so we have a presence on Farmington Avenue. We did try to make it look like the back of the building facing Farmington Avenue, but a lot of the nice features, similar to what we did again with the other building. The front entrance doesn't actually face Farmington Avenue, it faces the parking lot. There's a lot of nice features on that front portion that faces Farmington Avenue.
The lower lane elevation.
So this wraps around to the lower lane.
That window.
So that would be the far end. The building is out towards
lower lane. But that doesn't have the awning over the window as the rest of the building.
Yeah. We have Glenn come up. He's
The owner's rep, and then I designed the building, will be constructing it as well. What this doesn't quite show is the building wraps around the corner, as he mentioned, that the actual face of the corner that you see from the intersection coming out of Stop and Shop straight away would have been a beautiful place for a front entrance. It's just impractical.
yeah,
Plus, we've got this enormous electrical mechanism out there, as well as the poles supporting the traffic lights. All that is sitting right there in front of what would have been a front entrance of the building. So and that was immovable. So what we did was, not to mention that the usage of the building, when we first designed the original building, it was potentially going to be focused physical therapies building, in which case the center entrance with offices to one side and the gym to the other side made sense. But in a dental application like this, they want all the offices on one end and then all the operatory rooms down that long tail. So it made more sense to have an entrance at the far side. So the idea was to face those two buildings so they appeared to be looking at each other with similar entrances, the awning over the copper awning over the entrance. So this piece you see right here, sitting by itself, that's actually the angle of the corner of the building right here. So when you're at the intersection, and I would imagine that that's the best place for the signage as well. So that would have the sign for the business sign. So when you're sitting at that intersection, you're going to have an attractive corner with an elevated roof line with a sign and lighting and landscaping. So that's the concept. I did send them to, you have the color renderings? Oh, sure, that would be great.
Sorry.
I said, I don't know if you have access to your emails. I sent it to you some time ago. There were a couple of computer generated 3D renderings of the building from a couple of views.
Start with
It would have come from either G. Young or Glenn straight out.
So with the change in the square footage of the building, does that affect the reduction of the parking spaces?
Factory reduction,
You increase the square footage of the building.
so it increased it by, well,
I was just wondering if by making that change, if that's what caused the reduction of parking spaces, or did you only have 40 to begin with?
so it didn't cause a reduction in the number of parking spaces on the site. It's always been 40. The use is what requires more parking spaces.
which one did you want me to do?
You know
Not
what
that one.
Either one of them. That one
The
would,
ratio would be
that one would
as
be
far as
That one
the
would be-
number of employees and or staff that would be using a portion of those spaces versus what would be left for patients. I've worked in medical offices in the medical field, and one of the things that we always ran into, no matter how many spaces we had, there were always patients driving around saying, I'm sorry, I'm 15 minutes late because I had to find a place to park. So I'm just wondering what the ratio might be as far as staff to patients.
there's 7 operatory rooms in this. I'm not quite sure what she has for staff now. I believe is going to grow because the building's going to grow and she's going to be able to add staff. When I was in there getting my teeth cleaned last week, there were 3 people working up front. There was the doctor, Samantha, and there were 3 hygienists. I would say at that time they had about 6 to 7 people working there. I would imagine they would have, I'm only guessing that they would have maybe 10, maybe 11. Who knows? You'd have to ask her. Up on the screen now is a 3D rendering of the shape of the building as it's designed now from the corner.
And that's where that pole is, huh?
Yeah, it's right there.
Right there.
Yeah, it's like whack, it would have been a nice place for an entrance, but I was sensitive to the streetscape idea, having some interest around the corner.
Are we gonna put any little dwarf trees or something along to sort of break it up and maybe hide that pole?
Yeah. It's nothing more than a dwarf tree, but yeah, so,
Unfortunately, most of it's also easement to the state of Connecticut. So
yeah.
Well, we won't tell them.
Yeah.
I'm still back to that copper little hangover there from that building.
Oh, you're
And
awning?
the other one, copper awning, whatever they want.
You like those?
I like
Yeah,
those.
yeah, I do too.
Okay,
Yeah.
and, but, not having it on this corner over here on Farmington Avenue.
On the Farmington Avenue side,
or
you
the
mean?
Lane side.
Yeah.
Is making the building.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep some
Weird.
balance because now I've got we had in the blue building, the Focus building, we really only had 2 sides. The back was in an alley
Right.
more or less. So
Right.
there was nothing we had to do here. So this building has a 360-degree exposure. So, the cost of copper these days, right? So I try to make a
understand.
nice front entrance. If I put an awning on this side, I have to put one on that side. It's their money.
Well,
So I
yeah,
was
well,
kind of,
There's 2 more windows, sets of windows that look like it should have the copper on it.
yeah. Well, they more or less match the bump out window feature in the blue building. That was there. You can't quite see in that picture, but they recalled that look over there.
Maybe you can have one of
You
those
know,
little
with-
stainless
with-
steel.
with the- I've had a bad taste of another site that the 2 buildings.
CVS and Blockbuster.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, you're still hung up on that. I
Still hung
know.
up on that. CVS, Blockbuster, I was supposed to be
Yeah.
exactly the
We're
same.
gonna
thing.
say-
And believe, I remember that comment from a few years ago, and I considered that in everything here, which was, I always wanted these 2 buildings to be sisters, and related using similar materials and style.
I'm looking at the farm plan on that side now.
Mhm.
The focus is beautiful.
Yeah.
Rashford's very nice. it's getting that flavor,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's a good flavor there, man. You know, this building's will be important to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, well, we knew that this was one of the most visible corners in town.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I'm looking
Yeah,
to see
I
those
know.
copper
That's
hangovers
why
on
you get landscape.
the other two large
Yeah.
windows. The small windows you got boxed in with the white border and stuff like that. Which that's style,
Yeah.
but I think the two larger windows there. But that's a big taste of the facing the streets. Two main streets.
Well, yeah, I think you have to take that into consideration, is that it is facing the street, so once it's done, so anything we
Go have
can do
Blockbuster.
after it would be a good thing indeed.
Remember that, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because those are basically windows, right? That are just to give the perception of openings. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, they're functioning windows. There's rooms in there. The one facing the corner is a meeting room.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but they're basically windows as opposed to doors.
Right,
But they have the
right.
impression of a,
Yeah.
even though it's not,
Right.
so. Okay.
All parking lot lighting and
Yes.
vegetation and everything will be similar to.
It's same as.
In fact, the parking lot lighting was all accomplished with the first design. This is a smaller portion of the whole project. So the lighting that was designed initially is all in now. So.
Maureen, did you want to chime in on anything?
I did.
Okay.
So in the original approval, and as this is a modification to that for specific things, including that change to add that extra square footage and the modification of the parking, I would suggest that the commission reiterate that all the conditions of the original approval continue to be carried over for the unified site plan that was developed for the two buildings together. And would note that one of the conditions in that was that the landscaping plan should be modified to show a hedge screening of parking located along the front yard along Farmington Avenue. Ornamental planning should also be added along street side facades of the two buildings. So that was part of that approval. So their landscape plan during
The original.
permitting stages should show that, as well as any bonding that's required for the property. I did not look back at the bond sheets to see what was included in that on the original approval. But I would suggest that.
Commissioner, any other questions or? Yes, Jim.
So the sidewalk here that's in focus now, the AB concrete walk, doesn't go to the
It's down
street
lower,
sidewalk.
right? It's down lower, so it doesn't connect.
So you can't walk down the sidewalk, get on the street sidewalk.
Yeah, we didn't end up connecting to the street sidewalk, correct?
In the original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did, okay.
You know, because you will have that foot traffic now. Either way. And if that's 2 steps up, if it's lower, that should connect to those sidewalks.
Yeah,
Shouldn't dead end.
I know we can talk about it on your.
Shouldn't
slide,
that
it's
end?
actually connected, yeah.
Okay. Commissioners online, we have Steve Biella, Brian Rogan, and Peter Zerbo. So do you have any questions for the applicant at this time?
Questions? I think it looks good.
Okay.
No questions.
No questions. Looks good.
Okay, thank you. All right, commission, would we like to do here? This is modification. A little bit bigger building, 5 less parking spaces.
Same number of parking spaces.
Same
different
number.
use.
Just
Requires more parking.
Okay.
Commissioner Rogan,
Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve with the waiver of the 5 parking spaces with staff comments and being that they hold to the original conditions of the original approval.
Okay. We have a motion from Mr. Rogan. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Sandy Capola. And do we have any other questions or comments at this time?
And your commitment on my.
Oh, you didn't have a commitment on your window dressing? Brian Rogan, is that also Does your motion also entail the addressment of the window? Like an awning over the window?
Sure, I'll amend my motion.
It's Lower Lane in Farmington Avenue, sort of dress it out.
Yes, I'll amend my motion to include that.
Okay. Maureen, are you good with that?
I think I'm clear on the motion.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think perhaps the applicant may have a question on the motion. Can we ask the? Before,
He
because
wants
we have
to-
the motion.
I
think the motion should be
John.
Withdraw,
Yeah.
Brian, can you withdraw the motion temporarily?
Yes, I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay, all right, thank you. Withdraw your second, Sandy, okay, thank you. So all those in favor of withdrawing the motion in the second at this time? Aye.
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 Okay, all right, anyone opposed? No, okay, it's a consensus. All right.
Thank you.
So does the applicant understand, Mr. Cassidy?
So there was a concern, yeah.
About-
We understand that.
No, we withdrew the motion in the second, so I would just, I mean, because I want to make sure we're all on board here. You guys are doing a great project. We just want to make sure that we don't.
On the original
Misstep.
application, that there was a requirement that we had the hedgerow along Farmington Avenue. We went back and talked because there's a concern that with salt, you don't have a lot of area there between Farmington Avenue and the park lot. So with the salt, it was going to kill the plants that would be going in that area. So we had taken them out of the most recent plan because of that purpose. So now we have a condition back that says we need to plant the hedgerow along that parking area.
And we just experienced that
Okay,
situation in those projects.
all right, well, that's, okay. So we may have to get creative here.
Commissioner Rogan, how about a little stone sitting wall that breaks the divide?
A stone sitting wall, where are you proposing that?
Instead of the hedgerow.
So again,
You know-
issue. Farmington Avenue is higher than the parking lot, so it's not really a sitting wall.
Okay.
A wall that, if you put up a 30-inch high or 24-inch high wall, it's going to be flush with the top of the sidewalk. Relative to the parking, it's going to be a little more worse situation with having it, basically rip the step off from that sidewalk down into our parking lot.
Okay.
All right,
If it was flat, I can understand, flat grade between the two, but we are.
is there a point on, because I'm looking at the rendering here and I'm trying to do the map here, so we have the landscape and we have the hedgerow around, but what I'm hearing is that it's gonna get killed by the salt or whatever, the traffic and all the sludge that gets thrown. Understandable, but is there a place that you could perhaps develop a couple of pockets of landscaping? I noticed that you have something to the
A little island.
you have like a little
So
island.
we can, so there is a large island in the center that needs to get completed. There is some landscaping within that island.
Okay,
The trees. So the other place we can do is foundation plans around it. I'll let you know that the original plan is basically sidewalk up to the inside of the building, between the parking lot and the building. When we had to redo the handicap ramps, we have some beds now between wires between the ramp and the actual sidewalk down below. So that's an area where there's something.
well, I think maybe what we're gonna have to do is have you work, because I mean, obviously, yeah, that's what my suggestion would be, is that it could be part of your approval that this will work. Comment, Diane? I know Diane. Diane.
I really don't have much to say, except that what you're offering is on the parking lot side, and we're asking for something on the street side.
So I think two places we can do it. So it's outside the parking lot, so it doesn't get burned by salt, or around the foundation along between the building and sidewalk, probably or lane. Or under site plan, now between the sidewalk and the building, we could have a small section that.
I guess I'm looking at it like the original plan seemed to be okay. Prior to the planting, being raised as an
Kind of raise it a little bit or something. I don't know.
Again, I think it's something we can
Against the foundation.
This is the plan you're looking for?
that's the original application.
Yeah, this is the original plan.
We were talking about plantings along Farmington. I believe he mentioned plantings along Farmington Avenue. I wasn't sure exactly where he was referencing that. Are you talking
So
along
I
the
think at
building?
the original meeting, there was talk about building basically a hedgerow in this area right here. Between the sidewalk and Farmington Avenue. That's an arrow, and there's no that will be viable on that edge. We eliminated it from the plans because of that concern. I think when we're, correct me if I'm wrong, we had to put something in, the only place we really have this white area here is there between sidewalk and ramp. So it's outside the park lot area. Then there's still that on that side of the building. Possibly have either a flower bed or something on that, similar to it in front of Focus. That's the actual sidewalk.
Proposed building. And the sidewalk,
You have 5 foot back
Farmington Avenue.
on this side here.
Yeah.
Closest point's 5.31 feet.
So you have 5 feet to lower lane. What do you have on Farmington Avenue? Same thing?
No, we have about 16 feet on this side.
All right, so you have like, so in this pocket here, I mean, obviously I'm just trying to think that you might be able to use that. If you have 16 feet, you might be able to do some sort of plantings, even if it's just, I mean, I understand that your resistance at going around the entire building, because it's just gonna get
Can we do
ugly.
pockets of foundation plants? Like we do with Focus? Correct. Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, so you're gonna like at least start to wrap around the building, and I realize that you may have to abandon it when it gets really narrow, but then pick it up on the other side.
No, so we're talking about the
We're talking about on the side of the building and the
On
road.
Farmington Avenue side.
16.5 feet.
He has to speak at the microphone.
Oh, okay.
I think it's something to look on with staff.
Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. So any other questions or comments? I think you understand where our concern is, and we want to dress up that corner. And we want, but we also understand that you don't want to plant something that's going to die after 1 year. We appreciate that.
That won't look good either.
But we also, yeah, but we also want to make sure that maybe we could just have like, you know, get something to break it up and make it look a little bit more established. All righty, so I guess,
Your neighbor took a wreck.
Yeah.
Foundation. Plantings.
yeah. So Brian, do we want to,
The current building has.
Can you go to the speaker
we need to have.
for
you
the
at
record?
For the record, I'm sorry. It's just that the poor secretary's gonna have to put this into minutes and we have to make sure we catch it.
I have on my phone a photograph of the current Focus building, if you want to pass it around. That's essentially what we plan on doing. So this
Yeah,
building,
I'd
I
like
can
to-
hand the
I'd
phone
like
to you if you'd like.
That far?
So we plan on planting foundation and decorative plantings around the building on all sides. The area that we're mostly talking about, there's very little space between the back of the sidewalk and the parking and the elevation changes. It's just impractical to put any kind of shrubbery there for elevation reasons and the salt.
Yeah.
But the building itself is far enough off the road.
16 and a half foot off the road.
Yeah, you should be able to plant something. Alright, so, all right, does that address all the concerns? All right, so Brian, I'm gonna circle back to you. Do you want to stay with your motion or amend your motion or?
So I'm thinking, should we have them work with staff on landscaping? If that's the main concern of sticking with the conditions of the first approval?
Yeah, first approval and then the landscaping. And working with staff on that. Anything else that we're missing? And the awning or? Or I guess that, okay. All right, so we have the motion. Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Then all those in favor, do you need a roll call on this?
No bright orange.
I would like one. Thank
Yeah,
you. Can I just make sure that I've got
Hang on 1 second.
the work with staff on landscaping? And as a modification of the original condition of approval, the waiving of the 5 parking spaces for the shared uses, staff comments and other aspects of the original approval, and awnings added.
Commissioner Rogan, that is correct.
All righty.
Okay, and that was Commissioner Rogan with a second by, okay, thank you.
And the awnings on the windows.
You said it.
Oh, she did.
Did you get up to them?
We'll work something
I didn't
out. We'll
hear.
break it up. I think it was pretty. Okay. So you,
Black roof like Blockbuster.
all right, hold on. Is that Maureen's gonna, okay.
Okay, and then a roll call. I'm sorry,
call, we're
I
gonna
forgot
do-
what I was doing. Commissioner Dorsey? No? Commissioner Zigma,
Hey, yes.
Commissioner Rogan,
Aye.
Mr. Capola,
Aye.
Chairman Veely,
Aye. I'll go aye.
Commissioner Zaraboza,
Nay.
and Commissioner Biella Jr.
All right,
That's 5-2. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. All righty, we're gonna go into public hearings, but I'm gonna ask our secretary, Brian, I'm gonna have a temporary secretary, Sandy. She's gonna read the call because you're not here. But even though you're still secretary, Brian, she's gonna do your work for you. Okay.
I'm gonna try and fill in, Brian. Okay, Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at its regular meeting on Thursday, February 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Interested parties may join the meeting and participate in the public hearing in person or remotely by video or telephone as provided below. The following public hearing will be held, at which time an opportunity will be given to those who wish to be heard relative to the following applications. A special permit site plan application for the Preserve SM LLC for 76 units in 48 buildings and 28 single-family units on lot 151 Van Deckers Lane. The applications and related meeting materials are available at the Planning and Zoning Department, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Dated is 19th day of January 2022 at Berlin, Connecticut. Brian Rogan, Secretary, Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission.
All right, thank you. All right, so the first item actually is a special permit site plan application for the Little Houses, Little House Living LLC. But this has been withdrawn. It was withdrawn by the applicant because they are in wetlands. And so they've asked to withdraw, so we've accommodated. Okay, the second item that we had has been postponed to March 3rd, which was the application of 550-554 Berlin Turnpike Association. And that had a zoning map amendment and special site plan and a special permit application as well. They asked that they just be continued. So we put them on for March 3rd. We hope everything's going to be in order by then. The next one was the excavation permit, Stan Khan LLC, of the evacuation, excavation of 1,900 square feet, cubic yards, excuse me, in Berlin, East Berlin. That also has been scheduled, moved to March 3rd. Next up and last under public hearings is the special permit site plan application of the Preserve SM LLC for 76 units in 48 buildings and 28 single-family units on Lot 1, 51 Randacre Lane. And this we have with us tonight. Okay. So sorry, I had to read through all that, but I just want to make sure we get everything going. All right. Welcome. Good evening.
All right,
Doing okay, I think.
Nobody knows these days.
I don't know.
Anyway, good evening, Attorney Timothy Sullivan on behalf of the applicant, Preserve SM LLC. Just some housekeeping that I just did with Maureen. I had previously submitted the proof of registered mailings by email. I gave her the originals just now, as well as pictures of the signage that was posted both on West Lane and on Randecker's Lane. I'll get to more of that in a second. But the Preserve SM LLC was a two-member LLC. Don and Laurel Kapacki were the members until Don passed in December. Don was well known to this commission, having built many residential housing throughout Berlin. One of the signature developments was Silver Ridge, obviously. And, in fact, preparing tonight, a lot of reference was made to Silver Ridge by his son Joe, and he's with us tonight as well. The past few years, Don has been joined in the business by his son Joe Kapacki. Joe is here tonight, as I stated. Joe has been managing this project and other projects with his father for a few years. And managing this project wasn't easy, is not easy. It's entailed a zone change and then a wetlands permit, expansion of a public sewer map, as well as getting cooperation, which isn't easy, between the Water Control Commission and the Fire District to provide public water. The inland wetland permit had to be withdrawn and then refiled, primarily due to COVID-related delays in securing a response from DEP Wildlife Division concerning the Natural Diversity Database. This NDDB situation was prompted by the proximity of the project to Ragged Mountain and the plant and wildlife on Ragged Mountain. In addition to Joe here tonight, to present the application is Bart Bove from Flow Engineering, the architect of this project. He grew up with these plans. Scott Hesketh from FA Hesketh and Associates, who did the traffic report and traffic study, and Chris Hill from Blooming Design, who was the architect of this project. The architectural plans, including the style books and materials, etc. As for the project, it is a proposed 76-unit residential housing development on West Lane. Referring to the print Bart has put up, kind of a tough angle, but West Lane would be where the laser is pointed right now. That would be the entrance to the project. But the actual project is the actual property as it sits today is a 229-acre property that actually extends off the easel to where the golf course is. Most of the golf courses in this area here, well off the easel, is presently zoned, or it was zoned in R43. We'll get more to this in a second. This line here represents the zone line that created a PR2 zone for the project property, which is 110 acres of the overall piece, 51 Randecker's Lane, which is 229 acres. The property is currently 229 acre parcel owned by Shuttle Meadow Country Club, and they stated in the property address of 51 Randecker's Lane. The project, as I stated, is only 110 acres. of the 110 acres, 19 acres will be deeded to the Berlin Land Trust. 56 acres will be permanently restricted in a conservation easement, and 1 acre will be conveyed to the town of Berlin for trailhead parking. The trailhead parking would be up on West Lane. You can see actually a 1 acre area for parking to try to remove some of the hiker traffic off of West Lane and as it wraps onto Woodlawn and get it onto a parking area. Yeah, the actual residential development is approximately 20 acres. There has been some turnover on the commission since May 2020, when the 110 acre parcel is depicted on this map. When the 110 acre parcel was received approval for the rezoning from R43 to PR2. The intent of that rezoning was to allow for consideration of a multifamily development very similar, or if not identical to this. This is the type of development that was envisioned. Following some COVID-related delays, a special permit and a site plan application is before the commission tonight. Pursuant to section 5C4J of the Berlin zoning regulations, this allows for the higher density development and to concentrate the disturbance to the property in a smaller area to protect the Ragged Mountain area to the west of the project. The 76 units include 48 buildings of 2 or 4 units and 28 single-family units. The development will be a common interest community. In other words, a homeowners association will govern this project. The architect and Mr. Klepacki will discuss the residential structures. It's essentially going to be a classic New England vibe. I'll let them actually describe what they mean by the New England vibe. Scott Hesketh will review the traffic impact of the proposal. While there is no DOT encroachment permit necessary, there will be administrative review because of the size of the parking lot. And before turning it over to Bart to review the plans, 2 things. First, I did speak with Dennis Kern earlier yesterday with Bart. He overall is in favor of this project, overall in favor of the concept of this project. I know he wrote a letter earlier today. He's still waiting for a specific map so that he can look at some of the actual specifics. Bart will go over some of the specifics tonight. But one of those is that they're concerned about the maintaining trail access along the northwest portion of the project. I'll let Bart describe that. There's also going to be, as I stated, with the parking area that will be conveyed to the town of Berlin. That's subject to 824 approval, Connecticut General Statutes 8-24. I don't think it's hit this commission yet. We sent a letter about 3 weeks or so to the town manager, who's circulating it. We're looking, because obviously the town can't take property until a report is generated by this commission under 8-24. And so that will be also part of this package, so to speak, circulating through the Planning and Zoning Commission. But without further delay, I'll turn it over to Bart to give you some of the specifics of this proposal.
Thank you, Tim. Bart Bove from H. Cole Son. I think Tim stole most of my thunder, but I'll try to recap and get a little more detail. As Tim mentioned, on the far side, the left-hand side of the drawing, this West Lane. The site actually comes through and includes a portion of the property, or includes all property, and basically on the Berlin side, shown by golf course. The overall property is about 245 acres. And this portion that we're looking to break off is 110 acres. Tim had mentioned there is a parcel here, which is going to be given up to the Berlin Land Trust. They're looking to do some kind of trails in there. And there's also another 30 acres on the slide called 98A, which if you look at the overall map, you can see extends from our site all the way over to Randacker's Lane. And that will come here over Randacker's Lane. And that will also be dedicated to the Berlin Land Trust. The Blue Trail, which starts over on West Lane, at least a portion of your site from West Lane, flows across, comes across our site, and ends up in this location. So once Dennis looks at this map and is comfortable with the Blue trail will essentially be on land trust, or town of Berlin property, so it won't be on private property, it won't be on land owned by the Shenandoah Golf Course. Go further to the west, on this location here is Wigwam Road. That's an abandoned town of Berlin road. There's no improvements on that road, but further to the west, by that supported farther to the west, the town of Berlin owns all that property above and the Ragged Mountain Preserve. Glendale and residential properties located in this area. And again, this is the back golf course located in this area, the clubhouse sitting way over this location. Our proposal is to extend and develop a proposed road from West Lane into the site. There's 3 major roads. There's Don's Way, which Tim's pointing out. That road's about 2,000 feet away in length. Brightwood is approximately 975 feet. And Sunningdale is approximately 100 feet. So essentially what we're proposing to develop about 3,800 linear feet of roadway. The development will be served by public water and sanitary sewer. There is public water located on West Lane down in that corner, which will be extending up West Lane and into our site. There's also public sewer at the end of Farmington Road. We're proposing to develop a pump station at the end of our Downs Way and work with a forest main that would extend through the peninsula there, across the wetlands and into the existing sanitary sewer. We're also proposing in that location a car path bridge that would cross the wetlands and would progress over to a short-term car path area, which is extremely unique to the town of Berlin and very important for the development because the club would like to see potential members being able to utilize these properties and being able to work back and forth. Nothing like this exists in the state of Connecticut, and it's very important to develop. Off of West Lane, backing up off the entrance, we're proposing a boulevard type entrance. There would be a common mail facility up front, so mail trucks would not have to progress through the development. There'd be a gated entrance off that side. That gated entrance would have the ability for cars to turn around within the boulevard entrance and not have to back up all the way back out into the road. And as Tim pointed out, we're showing an area up in the southeast corner of a trailhead parking. That's approximately 1 acre, 1.1 acre in size, and that would be dedicated to the town of Berlin upon completion. We roughly have sized that to have about 47 vehicles on that. The surface would be a gravel surface. We are proposing a paved driveway into it, but basically a gravel surface typical of some of the trailer parking that town of Berlin has developed in the past. There may be some pavement where the handicap parking is because that's just we're going to be able to stripe and mark that as on pavement. There are some wetlands, well, actually not some. There is essentially a wetlands. Wetlands comprise about 42% of the site, and it was a large reason why this plan looks like the way it did. Now, you probably, if you were on the commission a couple of years ago, we did the zone change and kind of had an inkling what was proposed, but actually we've improved this plan with the Wetlands Commission so that we've got less of an impact on wetlands than we originally had. There's an area of wetlands located in this area. There's a vernal pool associated with that. So to alleviate some of the concerns of the setbacks, we've taken some of the units that were in this location and slid them over across the street and taken a detention pond and moved that detention pond further away so we don't have any impacts to the vernal pool area. And that was the one substantial vernal pool we found. We had a culvert crossing. In this location, we're originally proposing a twin pipe system, but in talking to our consultant, we felt that it'd be better if we put a box culvert with a natural bottom end that will permit migration of small amphibians and the animals that may use that vernal pool to be able to transverse across the roadway on a natural bottom surface instead of trying to climb up and over and through those pipes. So we're very cognizant of that. We spent a lot of time with the national NDDB report from the DEP. That itself took probably 4 to 5 months generate that report out. They found numerous species, again, more associated with the Ragged Mountain. We had our biologists go out there, they did an extensive study that completed their report, and they found no endangered species on this piece of property. This piece of property is clean. Even though there are potential for amphibians and reptiles located within some of these wetlands, we've done such stuff such as put the box culvert in, we've raised the bridge higher so people, those animals can migrate through those wetlands without being boxed up in that. There are 4 stormwater detention areas on this plan. One by West Lane, which is intended to deal with that area on the far side. Our second one, which we moved, which is intended to deal with this center portion. An area down here at the end of Don's Way, which is intended to deal with Don's Way. And a portion of this cul-de-sac, and a third, a 4th detention area, which would be located in this vicinity. These have been very specifically located because number one, we've located them for phasing. Phasing is pretty much predicated on where drainage is going. So each of the detention areas, part of our phasing plan, would be constructed prior to the start of the phasing that we go through. Secondly, I should point out that this kind of lies on a division area of a watershed. The area, basically in this area, east off flow towards the Mattabesset River from the standpoint of naturally occurring flows. 3 of those detention bases replicate the flow in those detention areas and flow down. This 4th area deals with the area that kind of runs diagonally, and this runs north, going through the pond of Sugar Meadow and over towards the written area of the site. So we've kind of set these detention areas up based on a 100-year storm, so that we replicate existing flows. We're not going to exacerbate any flood conditions that are out there. Those wetlands are naturally occurring sponges, even though they do soak up the water, they do back up potentially. And we've met with a couple of unit owners on the south side of the site, or I'm sorry, the east side of the site. A quick little enlargement of that area. But there was an area on one of the stormwater manholes that's located in this that had some issues. We've worked with that homeowner to kind of create a structure that would help alleviate some of the blockage, because that was basically done kind of ad hoc without any kind of approvals. And then the property owner at the edge of Harvest Hill, Jim Orville, and I have met with the owner, and we've identified some of the flooding issues, mainly because they're coming down the hill from Round Hill and not so much on this site. But Jim has graciously tried to get some of the town crews out there to kind of alleviate some of the issues through that site. We are extending public water through the site. There will be hydrants through the site. I know the fire marshal has made some comments. We will accommodate those comments, but I would point out that most of those comments that he had are already taken care of on the plan. There was another comment about the curb cut off West Lane and the boulevard, wanting to do a little more of a multiple curb on the front. You got a question?
So because of, I wanted to clarify for the record that I pulled up on screen one of the plans that was submitted. The plan that Mr. Bove's pointing to is a red drawing, and I'm trying to copy where you're pointing with the cursor for those listing online. But if you could provide a little more detail or explanation of the areas you're pointing to when you're describing areas so that people online can understand, that would be helpful. Just as you move forward.
Want to put it on the screen? Is that helpful? Put it on the screen? No. Okay, well.
And the people in the audience won't be able to see it either. On the screen, that would only be for this room. So just, it's more of them using words to describe where you're talking about, southwest corner of the site, whatever, near what road.
Well, let me go back to
something.
To the stormwater
Thank you,
detention,
sorry.
because we've created 4 stormwater detentions. The plan you see that's now up on the screen, the darker areas there are the areas that we've worked with the Wetlands Commissions of the potential impacts. Should point out that even though we're impacting approximately 2 acres of upland review area, The majority of that deals with stormwater drainage. There are some work, obviously, with the crossing is about 3,500 square feet. But most of those impacts that you see deal with the buffer work within the stormwater detention. If you go back to West Lane, you'll see that darker area there, right in front of that area. There's the first stormwater detention area that's located in that position. And then as you move across the crossing, which is about 3,500 square feet, that's the narrowest area that we can find to make the crossing. There's a second stormwater detention off the roadway there, just over to your up into the right a little bit.
That one.
Right down there. There's another stormwater area there, and then at the end of Don's Way, there's a third area. There's stormwater management right there. Yep. And then if you go up to that other black area, just to the left of that, that's where our fourth stormwater area is. Those stormwater management, even though the road design has been designed for a 25-year storm, our stormwater management and detention areas that were designed for a 100-year storm, we will not be increasing flows off this site. All that extra runoff from our site will be directed into those stormwater management areas. So all the roofs, all the sidewalk, all the impervious surface will be routed towards the detention areas. And we will deal with those within our stormwater management areas. Each of those stormwater management areas will have a stormwater outlet control structure and discharge into a level spreader, and then will discharge itself into the adjacent wetlands. Again, we are sending water into the site. There's an 8-inch water main that will be extended through the site. There will also be sanitary sewers extended through the site. The only sewer that we can't do by gravity are the 4 units up at the entrance on Don's Way. We're going to have to pump those across the culvert crossing into the sanitary sewer. But the remainder of that will have a sanitary sewer connection made with a pump station down at the end of Don's Way. We've been working with the Kensington Fire District, and I've started some conversations with Jim Erickson, who's a consulting engineer for the district, and we're working out a location for a holding tanks. I'm not going to say there's constraint on the downstream side, but capacity is such that the fire district would like us to mitigate our flows by holding back our peak flows and discharging them during the evening hours. So I'm trying to find out exactly what kind of capacity there is, and then we can hold back the remaining portion, then we can discharge it between 12 and 5 in the morning. Don't want to get too deep in the stuff. The intent of what we're doing is we're hopefully going to present their information. We'll let the commissioners and we'll let the public make their comments, and then we'll go back and sharpen our pencil, and we'll deal with their comments and the concerns as we get into the site. I will give you a couple, and I should also point out the end of Don's Way, beyond the area, there is an open area that being proposed as a community garden. As part of our review of the site, we found out that the majority of this site was actually worked over as a farm many years ago. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 years ago. And a consultant feels that this site is a potential site for a lot of the invasive species that have kind of crept into the area and are kind of creeping up into the park. So by doing this development in this location and kind of disturbing that previous area, and she has found species that specifically are invasives and are known to establish themselves at the edge of large fields and stuff, we feel that we can kind of cut the rate of invasive species within the remaining site. Part of our modification plan is to go around the perimeter of some of these areas where invasives have taken off. And we're actually going to go through and remove the invasives over a series of 3-year program to help reduce the amount of invasive seedlings that, number one, are in the site, and number two, the seeds that will go airborne and will fly up along the park. So we feel this is going to go a long way to help preserve that area to the west of the site. Tim mentioned some numbers on impacts. Just to kind of give you an idea, our overall project area is 110 acres. Now, again, we've got about a 245 acre parcel that's the club owns on this specific lot. We're gonna take 110 acres, 19 acres of the club, and then up in that upper right-hand corner, you'll see a bigger lot up there. That's lot 98. That lot is over 38 acres. All that stuff will go into open space. We're gonna try to work our area of development into something less than 20 acres of disturbance on the property. That leaves close to 90 acres of natural occurring land. From the standpoint of open space and conservation, we're keeping approximately 69% of the site as being left natural or undisturbed. The remaining is going to be common area between the units and the road right of ways. But our conservation is will take up 51%. So all that of that 89 acres that we're having, the majority of it is going to be conservation easements. Like I said, we're going to be conveying to the land borough, the land trust, and our pervious surface on this, on the overall 110 acres, just you know, we've only got about 11% coverage of impervious surface. And if you take off the 19 acres from the land trust, our pervious surface coverage only goes up to 13%. So I think we've really done a good job of kind of meeting the goal of cluster development, which is really clustering the units into developable impacted areas and kind of leaving the rest of the property kind of natural and go through. So I'll let Tim come up and he can introduce the rest of the team.
Thanks, Mark. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Scott Hesketh, who's going to review the traffic report that he prepared in response to the application. What Bart was talking about earlier, the previously agricultural land and the invasive species. There's an awful lot of barberry out there that we think perhaps was brought in to prevent the livestock from migrating into all the wetlands. It's a natural fence, but then it takes hold. Now that's part of the mitigation that we're doing with wetlands. But let me turn it over to Scott now.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Scott Hesketh. I am a licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut, the firm of F.A. Hesketh and Associates. Our office is in East Granby, Connecticut, and I'm the author of the November 30th, 2021 report, which has been submitted to the commission for review. That report is actually an updated report to the zone change report, which we did several years ago. We were asked to take a look at the trip generation potential of the proposed development and to present that information to the commission. As you've heard, the proposed development is to consist of 76 residential units, some of them single family, some of them cluster or multifamily units. According to the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Report, which is a standard engineering reference, which allows engineers and planners to make estimates as to the trip generation potential of developments. The proposed development would generate approximately 46 trips during the morning peak hour, 57 trips during the afternoon peak hour. So during the heaviest hour of the day, slightly less than 1 trip per minute resulting from this particular development. Now, the development is located on West Lane. West Lane, for most of its length, provides approximately 24 feet of pavement as it exits from Route 71A. And as it gets closer toward the development and the 90-degree bend, it becomes, and changes names, the roadway width reduces to 20 to 22 feet. However, the traffic volumes on that roadway are very minimal. The lane widths are sufficient to accommodate the traffic volumes both under the existing and combined traffic volume conditions. We didn't do a capacity analysis calculations, but reviewing the Connecticut Department of Transportation data, Route 71A carries approximately 7,100 vehicles on a daily basis. Peak hour volumes of about 517 during the morning peak hour and 650 vehicles during the afternoon peak hour. And with the projected traffic volumes on West Lane and those volumes, we believe we'll have good levels of service at that intersection. I know some of the concerns of the public at the last zone change hearing was there's a potential sightline restriction at that location coming out of West Lane, looking to the left. A couple of years ago, that was probably true. Recently, there's been some clearing of brush and vegetation at the corner there. I was out there this evening and had no difficulties entering and exiting West Lane. And the site distances looking to the left are significantly increased over previously. And although I didn't measure them with surveying, I believe they meet the conduct requirements for the prevailing speeds out on that roadway. So basically, it's our professional opinion that the traffic volumes from this proposed development can be accommodated on the existing roadway network as it's currently situated, and that there'll be no detriment to the health, safety of the travelers public. If the commission has any specific questions related to traffic, I'll be happy to undertake them at the appropriate time. And this time I'll turn it back over to Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. At this time, we're going to put some architecturals up. These are obviously samples and there's some renderings. Introduce Chris Hill from Blue Moon Design.
Good evening. My name is Chris Hill, Principal, Blue Moon Design. So what we prepared for this evening is some building typologies for the duplex and the quads, and then we've got some styles, some samples of color palettes and building elements that we're going to utilize to give some diversity to the neighborhood. And apply to break it up across the entire neighborhood. What I have up on the board now is some elevations of the duplexes and the quads. Again, the flavor of the architecture is to be kind of classic New England. You can see there's elements of shingle style, colonial. They all have 2-car garages facing the street. Utilizing dormers and other shutters, features like that, that convey, like we saying, New England. Floor plans of the multifamilies, the footprints are roughly 1,400 square feet on the first floor. They have a master bedroom suite on the first floor, a decent sized living space. The second floors being that there's such a large footprint, we've got a bedroom as a rule. We have one bedroom upstairs, a loft area, but there's space for a possible expansion of another bedroom if the future owners may be interested. So what I have here on these other two boards, you can see some of the nature of the styles that we'll be using for the garage doors.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt you. We have members of the commission that are online that can't see any of what you're presenting.
These are all part of the electronic submission.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had those electronically. Let me look for them.
I thought the architectural was.
I'll look again. I'm sorry, and I'll keep working on trying to pull them up. They would have come from you, right, Tim? They came from your office, correct?
I believe so.
Give me a minute, almost. Tried to find everything. I think it's in this package. What's the packages? Come in every day. That would be awesome. That really helps, to be honest.
Maureen, you can do a search.
I've been.
Search bar.
I've been.
I think she has.
I did the Tim, but he has several applications. I'm finding others. MGIU.
Subject line.
IU. STI. At berlinct.gov. I thought I'd loaded everything I had. I'm sorry for that. Not open them all, so I have them. Okay, when I find the so I'll have elevation. Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Okay, so everyone at online should be able to see these drawings now. And sorry for the delay, everyone. Thank you for your patience.
So in a nutshell, I guess, you know, we've given ourselves a palette of color, you know, trim, portico, window styles that we intend to use with a little artistic license. We've kind of like, you know, integrated into like the elevations that you're looking at to give diversity, so it's not cookie cutter around the entire neighborhood. So that's kind of the overall idea of why it's being presented this way. So that's not like all one color, all, you know. So by keeping the plans simple and have some adaptability to them, we can do a lot for the neighborhood by, you know, using complementary palette colors out of the larger piece. So that's kind of what I was trying to explain, but you can start to see up on the screen the, you know, subtle differences in traditional New England dormers, you know, some modest difference in styles of porticos, garage doors, but they're all complementary in a New England way. No, I think the intention was to try to feed those items in as well.
What page do you want me on, and I'll just go
Again, so for this, I've seen those.
up to which?
This couple, there you go.
So this is it.
So you can kind of see on the first floor, you have a master suite on the left side, a large living, dining, kitchen, facing the back, you know, 2-car garage, the front stair going upstairs to the go off the page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's that on the front side where you have the dormers and all those pieces. You got a bedroom, and then going towards the back, there's kind of like a walk space and a double height ceiling over the living area. But there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of space up there given the size of the footprint. So there's some options to add in like a den or like an office or something, additional space upstairs if the market drives that.
So the currently plan is 2 bedroom, 1 bath, or 1.5?
Two and a half, because you got the master suite downstairs has a full bath. The bedroom upstairs has a full bath, and then there's a powder room towards the entry. So that's kind of like I would say that's kind of like the lowest common denominator. And if the market's driving an additional space on the second floor, then we can accommodate that within given the amount of roof line there will be and all that. For questions.
Yeah, the outside design of the buildings themselves, can we go back to that? The rendering that we had? All right, so is this the multifamily here?
Yeah, yep.
And when we talk about multifamily, we talk about.
Duplex or quads, four townhouses or 2.
All right, so according to this, how many quads are you gonna have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? What you looking at?
Art might be able to comment on the total.
Is it 6 quads? 6 clusters? Should I say a quad? How do you call
There's 48 units in total that are going to be these multi-family. I don't know if it breaks down. Okay, so there's 6 quads, and then the remainder are the duplex, 12 duplex buildings.
Now,
They're effectively townhouses.
yeah, I mean, because when you look at the picture, I mean, obviously we have the architecture, we have some samplings that are architectural here, but now we look at the actual renderings. Whoa. So I'm just trying to.
So if you can imagine having different colors along like one elevation, let's say, to break it up, for example.
So if you had a quad, each house within that quad would be a different color. Maybe.
Possibly. Or maybe like in the same quads, we might do half and half. I mean, it's not going to be completely different from unit to unit.
Yeah. Can I just go back and revisit, because I believe at the beginning that we had, after the mailboxes, before the, I guess, gated, looks like a gated entrance, you said that we had some, building number 17 was going to be utilized as a model during construction. So is that a quad at the end, almost to West Lane, or is that a duplex?
That's the quad. That's a quad
That's
there.
going to be a quad right here. So you're going to have the quad, then you're going to have the gated entrance. So that quad or model is going to be outside of the
The
community.
gated entrance will be before you start getting to the rest of it. So you'll have the driveway, you'll have the entrance, the mailbox, the entrance.
All right, but you see where it is on your map there on the green. I just want to make sure
The gate is back.
okay, the gate's going to be back there. So the mailbox, then the gate.
Right.
So that the mailman, okay, all right. I looked at that lonesome quad out there and I thought, I really didn't know how it was going to tie.
We had originally thought about putting a duplex in there as the model,
Yeah.
but as the monopole issue came up, trying to put the units in there, make everything work, we pulled the quad out.
Okay.
And we doubled that size, but so what we did is we removed the buildings, 2 of the buildings in this location. There was also another model that was located on the north side of the west side of the road. That's been removed too. So still we've got one building that's quad to the duplex.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioners have questions at this time?
You brought up the colors, and I think that, quads, they should be separated, colors in each unit. That flavor of different colors is the big thing that's happening, especially in the south of New Jersey, Delaware, stuff like that. That's the way that they're doing them. And I really, because they're all complementary colors. So this is whatever color you get, they're not, just picking out one unit. So you break up the units, helps the guy coming home from too.
Oh, geez. All right, well, all right, and I didn't mean to jump to the finishing, I didn't mean to jump to the finishing touches, because I know that this is a pretty thoughtful project, and I don't want to skip over any of the other stuff by getting into the art. I just had to understand how it was going to fit in with that design. Diane, did you have any questions at this time, or?
Thank you, but my questions have to do more with things other than architecture.
Okay, so I guess then what we'll do is we'll ask, are there any more, is there any more of the architectural designs that we need to inquire about at this point, or can we now just open it? Are you finished with that presentation at this point? Okay, all right. So we have Tim back with us, Attorney Sullivan.
Yeah, and that actually concludes our initial presentation, our primary presentation. Open it up to the public,
Yeah.
commission, and entertain questions at this time.
Okay, terrific. All right, so Diane, do you want to start off, and then I'll just call on other commission members, see if we have any questions or comments in the public as well.
Sure. For Mr. Hesketh, specifically, you mentioned the sightlines improved at the end of West Lane due to the clearing of brush. And so specifically, I'm wondering if the clearing of brush was within the state and town rights of way or extending into private properties.
You're referring to West Lane, Chamberlain Highway intersection.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the right of way line is in that location. So I can't comment as to whether it's private property or on state roadway, on state property.
If I may, I believe the enforcement officer sent out a letter to someone in near that intersection recently to do some clearing of, because we do have a regulation that requires 30-foot triangular section at any intersection be kept clear by the property owner. And my recollection is she sent one. I may have. That may not be accurate for exactly that address, but I think that's what I recall her sending something for that.
That particular intersection would be really important.
And I am bringing up the intersection with the approximate location of the right of way. So the northwest corner, the property line appears to be pretty close to the edge of pavement. As you can see, the southwest corner has quite a bit of right of way that belongs to the state.
The standard is to be 15 feet behind the edge of the road. The measurement of the site distance. And it looks like you've probably got about 10 feet of right of way there from the edge of the road to the right of way. You can see even in this photograph here, many of the branches are sticking out into the DOT right of way. So it's probably pretty close. Some of the clearing is probably on private property, but even in that photograph, you can see that the vegetation does extend into the right of way. So Hey, but regardless of where the clearing was done, they did a pretty good job and the site distance is pretty good. So and if there's an ordinance to maintain it 30 feet corner, then that certainly can be accomplished in the future as well.
Sure. And that was the point I was getting at, so that is helpful. And I think, Maureen, I'm interested in the parking issues with respect to the public parking on Wigwam to have access to the trails, and the issue of the parking lot that's proposed to be donated to the town, and whether or not accommodating 47 vehicles in the view of the commission is going to be adequate to address the issues that have been long-standing issues in that area. And I really want to know if the town council is wanting more than that, more than what's proposed, and whether they want to maintain it.
So we are pending comments from the town engineer who would speak to the maintenance, et cetera, and report to town council on recommendations with regard to that, as well as this commission. It was one of the items that was suggested that they perhaps offer in their proposal to provide a parking lot that wasn't defined at that time. And we could look at the size and talk to the police about that as well. I don't believe the police or police commission addressed it in their comments back to us. But I'll make a note to make sure we reach out to the traffic officer and chief to see if they have further comment with regard to that specific issue.
Commissioner Zervozo. Yeah, I have similar concerns to Commissioner Jorsey. As you know, West Lane gets pretty inundated with hiker traffic, especially in the summer. I don't know if 47 parking spaces is going to be adequate to accommodate the typical overflow and how the town will end up managing that moving forward. There may be some alternative for hikers to gain access to Ragged Mountain pending potential property acquisitions. And that is something we could look into in the future. But I would kind of want to hear from potentially the police commission on that matter of how parking would be handled outside of that parking, if they would consider banning parking on the road itself in exchange for those parking spots or what have you.
Thank you, Peter.
On the road.
I mean, anything's better than what they have. I mean, at this point, I think what the hope was is that we would eliminate all the parking, but you know, sometimes if you build it, they will come.
Madam Chair, if I can add my 2 cents, since I'm kind of the initiator of the size of the parking lot. I kind of saw 47 spaces as kind of a sweet spot as the size of the parking lot. You want to make it as big as the National Park parking lot and the shuttle buses going through there. So if you make it too big, it's going to be a maintenance headache and size. And it's probably twice as big as most of the trail line parking off Chamberlain Highway, off of Orchard Road. The old Piston Creek is obviously larger, but that was served by a golf course. So people can park in there for a golf course. But I rarely have seen that many cars. Now I know you get a lot of traffic on the trail. If you look at especially during COVID, if you look at the license plates, half of them were out of state. So I think once things kind of get back to normal, I think 47 parking spaces is going to be kind of adequate. I know it's been crazy the last couple of years, and I've always told my surveyors to get up there early so they can get a spot on the road. There are some pull-off sites up on the corner on the curve, so there are probably another 8, 9, 10 spaces that people pull off the road and can pull off not in the parking lot. But I think if we get too big, we can always offer more land if the town wants to expand it. But if it gets too big, you know, 80% of the time it's gonna be empty, you're just gonna wipe out those trees for cars. So that's why I came up with 47. And we gotta review this, we just started our initiation of the town.
Well, just to continue the conversation a little bit along the same lines, I guess would be, well, we have the opportunity to kind of work something that's better for the town and the people that use those open space areas, to make sure that there's adequate access for emergency vehicles, turnarounds if needed. So I assume that that's all part of police review or fire marshal review.
I will approach them specifically on that. I did, when they were, I think, coming in for the zone change, go out on several occasions when there was what I hoped was an extreme number of cars and count them. I think it was in the high 30s. I didn't keep that number with this file, so that were parked along the road. The high 30s, low 40s of cars along West Lane and around the curve, with people walking quite some distance to get to the trailhead. But I can look up what that number was for just a town observation of what busy was. I did it on a number of occasions. That was the highest I counted.
So I know there have been plenty of rescues there at night, or, you know, so they need to have access to the trailhead, and I'm sure that's all stuff that they're going to look at with their review between police and fire marshal. And then the last question that I have right now is whether or not the NDDB letter is on file with the application.
Which letter, I'm sorry.
The response has been filed with the state, with the DEP, and we've also provided at least a draft copy, maybe a copy with the Wetlands Commission as part of their file too.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I don't think, I think what you're saying is that that the review, the NDDB review has been requested.
It's been done.
And you did say it's been done.
Yes.
And they said that there are no species.
No, our consultants reviewed the site. They've submitted a report that says they have found no endangered species.
The consultant.
That has been submitted back to the DEP, and they will review the findings of the consultant and report back. We've got to file a stormwater management report or a stormwater management plan with DEP, so they need to have that report in place and approved by DEP before they can proceed with their other application. So that has been submitted and will be submitted within a day or something.
Because that was prepared by Rena Ecological, George Logan, Sigrid Nicodemus was there, was involved with it as well. As part of stated in his presentation, there were findings of no endangered or special species. We anticipated that all of them were going to be up on Ragged Mountain as it was. As we stated, there was previously use of this as agricultural property. In fact, there's still quite a few old vehicles and equipment out there that's been abandoned. But we have, I believe George Logan is submitting it tomorrow morning. And that's my conversation with him today. It's a very lengthy report. And then Wildlife Division will then review that report. Once we file that report, we can then file our general permit application for stormwater management for stormwater management.
Is it customary with the NDDB review for them to send a letter indicating their concurrence with the consultant, or I don't really know.
They will, if they have any concerns, they will flesh those concerns out. If they have any further recommendations, they will also make recommendations to us, and there will be dialogue with the Wildlife Division at that point. And any changes that are necessary would force us to go back towards wetlands, perhaps. But we will keep obviously the commission informed of what we're doing with the Wildlife Division.
But that's,
You mentioned farm equipment rotting into the ground. So
I just noticed.
are there any other environmental concerns that we should be asking?
I don't believe so, no.
That's a fair question. That's a fair question.
I missed the farm equipment running into the ground.
Okay. I think I'm done for the moment.
You're done for those are your questions at the moment. Other commissioners, do you have questions? I mean, this is of course the first go round, and I'm gonna ask the public and.
We're gonna need to go because of the storm, the,
Yeah.
I have nothing at this time.
Nothing, Brian. Stephen, do you have anything? Stephen Biella? Do you have any questions for our applicant at this time?
I got nothing. Thank you.
Okay, and Peter Zarabozo, are you also satisfied with this time?
No further questions.
Okay, all right. Okay, Sandy, you have anything? Okay. I had some concerns, but I don't know if I can probably circle back to it, but just briefly, just to let you know where I was thinking, is that I know that a lot of the property will be going into conservation, or going over to the land trust or anything. Was the community itself, or do you have any kind of walking paths or anything through those easements?
The land trust, number one, wants to maintain that existing trail, I talked about that new trail.
Yes.
In private hands outside of the club, so that's the first thing. The land trust was also talking about, I can't speak for Dennis per se, but developing trails through some of those areas, and see what's going through. That area is chock full of trail people go through for years.
Yeah.
Those won't be available for the public to use, but the land trust is looking to take some of those areas that they have and develop their own small little walking trails for those areas.
Okay, and that would be for use by the folks
Well,
in
for the
that.
public, if it's a land trust, yeah, I'm sure that.
Okay, all right. But for the community itself, was there anything that was designated to be as any kind of walking trail?
Not particularly, no. We kind of centered our development kind of in the center of the whole property.
Okay.
So kind of seclude ourselves from
Yeah.
some of the outside influences. Nothing's going to preclude somebody from hiking up the road and then hiking up the trails and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they can go up the mountain.
They go up the trail. So there's a ready-made trail system there with no extra cars. So.
Okay. Yeah, and then you have your golf cart.
Right.
Thing.
Right, and the intent of that is for people to go golf, have a lunch, come back and share. It's not long-term parking. It's just parking to get to the same back and forth.
All right.
And before we go to the public, I was looking through my notes. I know one of staff's comments was construction schedule, and I apologize for not including that, but we did work with the Wetlands Commission in developing a construction schedule predicated more on detention areas and what could be built around those detention areas. And they also wanted a color plan, so I will share that with staff before the next meeting.
Okay, terrific. And I think that's the only question I have. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, that raises a question that I intended to ask about too, as far as the phases. You mentioned a phase, you mentioned 4 phases, so will each phase be identified separately?
Yes. What we've done is there's 4 detention areas, and those detention areas pretty much dedicate, kind of drive where the phases are going to go. So as the storm drainage for each one of the detention areas, we're going to develop those units near those pipes so that we're not opening up. The Wetlands Commission does not want us opening up the whole site and making a mess. They want us to kind of conserve our working areas. They have got restrictions such as no COs until the units are all bonded and tied up at the outside perimeter, so we're not, creating a mud hole with people living on it. So they have a lot of restrictions like that as part of their plan. And when you see it, you'll see each one of those 4 phases, we call them, are all predicated on the detention. There is some flexibility with the commission, the Wetlands Commission gave us. So say we were selling a lot of duplex units, and we had a couple of singles in there, but the singles were selling fast. Nothing says we couldn't move up to the singles and then develop the duplexes later, but they would be in phases and we wouldn't be opening up the whole site. We would be restricted to 20, 25 units or so within each of the phases, probably less when we get to single families.
So you're not looking to specifically identify certain segments?
We started that. we started that, but I will present, I'll give that to the staff and then I will explain it further once I have it in front of you. You can see it.
Okay, and because this is a public hearing, I'll ask to see if there's, if there's anyone in the public who's online, would like to ask any questions or have any feelings about this project. Now would be the time to address your concerns to the commission and the applicants. Is there anyone who would like to ask any questions? You would? Okay, I would just ask that you stand up and use the microphone. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name is John Anderson. I live in
Okay.
Britain.
We need to get it.
Get right up to the microphone if
yeah,
you
we
would,
need to
please.
Get it on record, please.
Yeah, my name is John Anderson. I live in Britain. My mother owns a house on the corner of Randecker and Lincoln Street. My only really concern, and this is entitled Randecker Lane, but I haven't heard anything about Randecker Lane. So there is no connection, right, between this project and Randecker Lane.
I will have Mr. Attorney Sullivan address that. Thank you.
Off the GIS, if that helps. That might.
Yeah, just Randecker's Lane. Following the laser. The clubhouse of Shuttle Meadow would be down here right now. And Randecker's Lane running east-westerly location here, direction here. This is all one big lot right. 110-acre project will be divided out. Right now, because it is one lot, it's technically still 51 Randecker's Lane. And that's why there's a sign out on Randecker's Lane. And that's why individuals surrounding that area, surrounding this lot, within 500 feet of this lot, receive notice of this hearing. But this project, this housing development, will not exit in any way towards the clubhouse or towards the golf course. It all exits towards West Lane. But right now it's just one lot, so it's 51 Randecker's Lane. So.
I brought up on the screen a highlight of the overall property, plus this lot next door is, that's part of the overall scheme as well.
That's part that will be deeded to the Berlin Land Trust.
Okay. So this being West Lane, the clubhouse being up here, and this being Randecker's. So the address of the property is 51 Randecker's Lane. Even though it goes.
This address will be West Lane.
This will be a West Lane address, yes. Once the property is divided off.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to address the commission? Yes, sir. Just come on up and name and address for the record, please.
My name is Marian, WSH. I live in on the Woodland Road. 500 feet where these guys start good over there. This guy, he say everything is nice. It's just big storm. Water come from everywhere. He says everything over there. Was this guy try build over there? He said wetland. He says not dry. Dry yes, this is July and September. I come for the May and whatever April. This is water for everywhere. Number two, this is the parking over there. It's a 40 car. Okay, for Sunday and Saturday for the West Lane, it come over there maybe 200 car. I living for the 25 years. I have the problem. Come for the house.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. Where is your house? What's your house?
542 Woodland Road.
Your You're on Woodlawn.
Wigwam,
Wigwam.
Wigwam, yeah, 500 feet for this parking, for the new development. You know, for the weekend, this is nightmare. I have the picture over there. Look at that. This is not everything what you see. You know, hiking people come over there for the Sunday. You know, this is COVID. There's a lot of people not working. You know, and blanket for my driver. Sometimes I have the headache. I have it for the headache. They come from my house. You know, the units come over there, and people come over there to this year. 200, maybe 200 more car. Yeah, this is Westland. This is Skinny Road. Now we can build the house. You know, whatever, 18, 20 house. No, we have the traffic, big traffic.
So what I'm hearing from you then is that your belief that even if they're going to build this parking lot for 47 cars or 45 cars or whatever, you're claiming that it's not going to help.
No, this one, they almost got to build for them too close for them house. When I buy there for the land, I buy for the dead end. Wetland open, you know, if you see the for the old map, I have a document for my lawyer where I buy land. He said this be dead end forever. Now it's open. The road, Wigan Road, is my road and my neighbor. If you see the old, not new map, you know, the old map. Okay, and nobody asked me, and my neighbor opened the road. We can open the road, no ask for anybody. I paid the high price for the lot. Now this is cheaper. I built the house over there. This be more traffic. I paid almost $11,000 for the tax for the 2,600 square feet house. 11,000 bucks.
Okay, I hear what you're saying and I hear your frustration. I'm not sure that I can remedy your situation, but you know, we will, you know, we're going to take this into consideration. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make a difficult situation better for the residents on West Lane, because your story is not yours alone. I mean, it's belonged to all those people.
Nowadays problem that everybody sit house and everybody talk. You know, if you talk on the street, you talk you nice. Okay, we'll make it this. We'll make it this. We'll make it this. After like this is come to the meeting, ain't nobody want to come over there. That's it. That is problem. Ain't nobody know. Nobody know. I come for I'm a retired man. I come for every day for the forest. Yeah, I see. You don't believe it. You don't believe it. Me wait for the April, and you go this. What this guy is try building. Don't listen to this guy. If you don't believe it, me go yourself and you see. I'm right. This is wetland everywhere.
Well, they acknowledge that there's wetlands there. They understand that.
Yeah.
I mean,
when I try build house, I buy try build the lot. So the zoning say no way, but this is wetland. Over there is the 90% wetland, 10% dry land. Nobody go over there. Everybody look at the map, make a sketch. Oh, this looks perfect. This not looks perfect. Not looks perfect. I have the paper. I show you over there. look at this place.
So can I just clarify that anything you hand to the commission has to be kept for the record? Do you want to look at it or no? Do you want me to just take it for the record?
Is this a copy that we could keep for?
Yeah,
our-
yeah.
This is a copy for-
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep that for the record, and also just housekeeping. I'm sorry, I know everybody is trying to listen, but I don't want to forget the housekeeping. I'm gonna provide you my email, but please send me the photograph so that I can have it for the record as well as share it with the applicant. Because we need that for the record, and
Yes.
I guess continue, but wanted to make sure everybody knows
Are
that.
those copies or is that just one specific report?
No, this one I give you, I have it. This one I have it.
That's two of the same. thing, it
Yeah,
looks like.
the same thing, that you need it. This one, I don't have it.
You don't have it.
Yeah. No, take it, I have it for the house. Well, I made that copy, maybe somebody come out.
Or come back to our office tomorrow and we can make copies
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, but thank you, sir, for the.
She's gonna make a
comments
copy.
and-
She's gonna go make a copy as long as she can get in the office.
All right. Yeah,
Thank you.
that is very nice. Thank you. All righty, yeah, so thank you for your sharing your concerns, because we're still deliberating and we're just taking in information. So this is what the public hearing is all about, so that we can hear from the folks that live in the area.
This is not nice. He moved the house over there, there's a lot of animals.
Okay.
Why we push the animals for the backwards?
Time out. If you're gonna address the commission, again, you've got to come to the microphone and state your name and so that this way, when we do the minutes from the meeting, we know who's speaking. Because the secretary who's got to transpose this or transcribe it. So you'll have no additional comment at this point, okay? Yeah. All right, Attorney Sullivan, I mean, I know that.
Anyone else
wait.
online? You were asking people online.
Oh.
Oh, well, I don't know if you want to
Okay,
respond.
does anyone
That's-
else online wish to address the commission at this time regarding this application? We're still in the public hearing.
Someone lit up.
Yes. I would ask you state your name and address for the record, please, clearly, and then we'll be happy to take your comments.
Sure. This is Deborah Slowakowski, and I'm at 338 West Lane, right
Okay.
next to Meadow. And I'd just like to comment about the traffic and the parking. Just like that last gentleman said, I've seen 125, 150 cars on West Lane during hiking season. And it's very, very hard to even get out of my driveway, let alone drive down the street. Only one car can get through the street at a time. And it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. I don't think 47 parking places is going to do it during hiking season. And my other concern is all the traffic that these buildings are going to cause. There's what was it, 600 trips that the gentleman said it comes out to like 1 per minute. That's a lot for West Lane. That's a lot of traffic. So I'm concerned about the safety and you know, the busyness of the street. I don't think the road can take it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome, Debbie. Thank you. I'm just making some notes to myself. All right, is there anyone else in the public who wishes to address the commission regarding the application at this time? Okay. And Maureen, did you have anything in closing before we?
A couple of housekeeping.
Open because we need to keep more testimony.
A couple of housekeeping items. There will be additional comments coming from staff because at least myself and our town engineer have not completed our analysis yet. you received a letter, I believe it's up there from the land trust this afternoon. And in essence, it's saying that they expect to be, and as Attorney Sullivan stated, they expect to be looking at the plan again and adding additional comments as well. So I guess encourage you as well to keep the public hearing open, at least for, because we also need to do more work. Other than that, at this time, and the other item is there was concern with regard to sewer service. Now I want to get my comment right. Hold on a second. Thought I typed it right there and I did not. We just would like, so it's my understanding that having talked to other town staff and our corporation council, that Kensington Fire District is situated so as they would have the lines for serving this facility. However, it is in the Berlin Water Control Commission service area, and the town had issued a letter that says that the town is willing to allow Kensington Fire District to provide the service until such time as the infrastructure is developed by Berlin Water Control. And I think we just need Attorney Sullivan to confirm if Kensington Fire District, for the record, has agreed to provide that service to the property. The reason I dwell on this or have brought it up, and you may recall I brought it up during the rezoning application as well, is because public water and public sewer are a requirement of this kind of development in the zone. So we do want to make sure that public water and public service, public water and public sewer is secured.
Perfect, thank you. All right, well, we've got a lot to think about, I think, and we have some more testimony we're waiting for. Any closing remarks, Attorney Sullivan, just for this evening?
Yeah, just briefly, just to address what Maureen just said. Yes, we have worked out both the water and the sewer. We're expanding the public sewer map. He has approved that expansion. We are also working with on a developers agreement with the Kensington Fire District to provide us with water and sewer. We've been, even though the water the Kensington Fire District actually participated with the developer in expanding the sewer map at DEP. And as far as the Water Control Commission and the Kensington Fire District concerned, there was some back and forth between the commission, between the developer, between the town, and there was some cooperation. It's not the first time this has happened, where it's easier because the infrastructure is such that another sewer district or another fire district can provide service more readily. Was just recently done between the water control and the fire district up off Ledge Road. So yeah, we have worked that out, and we will be entering into a developers agreement to provide water and sewer. We're working on that now.
All right, excellent. Continuing public hearing, so do we have a motion at this point? Okay.
Move to continue the public hearing.
Yeah, motion by Ms. Dorsey to move to continue the public hearing. And this would actually go to what, the March 3, right?
We had discussed the possibility of not holding any public hearings on the 17th.
Yes, that's correct.
I had discussed that with the chairman. So that's up to the commission. There is time to keep the public hearing up for at least 35 days, and March 3rd is within that 35 days.
Okay, all right, so we have a second on that. Second by Sandy Coppola. Further discussion with the commission. So all those in favor? Aye. And online. We have Peter. Steve.
Who made the motion?
Motion was by Diane
Thank
Jorsey,
you.
second by Sandy Capola, and I'm just waiting for Steve, Brian, and Peter to vote on continuing.
Aye.
Okay, thank you,
Aye.
Brian. Okay, okay, Steve and Peter.
We're all here.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll see you on the 3rd, and we're gonna continue the public hearing. We've got lots to think about, including your information here. And we do not have to read that letter because we do it. All right, so under, okay, so that's that with the public hearing. So under the old business, basically everything had gotten pushed off. And now our last item, which was the preserves, is also pushed off. So that is the end of our business, and then now we're going to go into executive session. So now, yeah, but I also want to make sure. All right, so it's 9:28. But we also, is there a way that Brian? And okay, so that's it for the meeting, and guys,
she
we
does.
have
I don't
to-
think I do.
All right, so Brian, Steve, and Peter, we're gonna go into executive session, but we need you to, or what are you gonna have them dial in?
We gotta get out.
All right, you guys are gonna have to get out and dial in, but do we have a phone number we're giving them, or?
Yes, we'll give them a phone number.
We'll send in a phone number. You have, if I'm missing any of their cells, you have a, maybe? Let's just hold on one second and make sure.
The executive session items into the record as well before a motion is made. Thank you so much.
I know I have Brian's phone number. I just want to make sure I have Steve Biella and Peter's. And those are here.
If you send it to me, I can forward it to them.
Oh, okay. Then that's what we'll do, Brian. All right, so guys, just give us
I
a
don't
few
have
minutes for
any.
us to organize it, and then we'll be talking to you all shortly. And Brian, stand by, and I'll give you that information, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, talk to you all soon. Goodbye.
Oh, wait, make a motion. Make a motion to go into executive session, please.
Have to read it first.
All right, hold on.
So, agenda item 8, executive session, discuss the status of pending litigation of Rio Vista Associates LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin, and possible action relating to same.
And then,
Mhm. Oh, and then B is consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of the pending litigation of Rio Vista Associates LLC, which is Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and the Town of Berlin.
Okay.
So with information.
All right, I'll make a motion to go into executive session, inviting our attorney Jennifer Capone. All right.
And
Maureen,
Maureen, I just assume you're with us.
thank you.
all right,
I'll second.
all right. Okay. So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Are those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and I think I just got
That's fine.
just opposed.
No, they said aye. They all
Yeah,
said
all
aye.
right, okay.
I'm going to end the Zoom meeting now.
All right.